What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben and welcome back to the bench. We are here with episode number 2 for our all at sea group build. This is the A6M2-N. Today, guys, we are going to push forward and start getting some paint and some plastic going. So first off, we're going to put away the decals. We don't want to hurt those, and we're going to keep them nice and safe. Now, the first thing I wanted to go ahead and do is check the color. Now, Nakajima actually uses a slightly yellowish green color, very similar to the inside of an avocado, at least right around the center pit. That really fresh meat, that's pretty much what it looks like. Now, I have a couple different colors that I've been kind of playing around with, and I've actually mixed up a few. I've got some yellow green, I've got some olive drab, and I've mixed them up and made what looks to be very similar to the color that it calls out for you in the book. I've also done a little bit of experimentation with some sky and also some British Interior Green, and then I mixed up with a little bit of yellow green, and then of course I used some olive drab. So I've been kind of playing around with colors, and I came up with this, and this I think is a little bit closer to what I was going for. I think I'm going to be using that. So we're going to do some very simple work here today on the cockpit. We're going to start here. We're going to fix up the chair. We're going to do a little work on that. We have to drill out some of the holes in the back of the seat to make those look a little bit more detailed. So I've got my pin vise out. We're going to go ahead and get that done. And then we're going to come back and we're going to airbrush all of the parts. So the cockpit sidewalls, the cockpit floor, the seat, the instrument panel. So let's go ahead and give it a shot, see what we can do. So we have all of our parts and pieces airbrushed in that custom color interior green. I like it. It looks pretty decent. I do notice here that on the cockpit floor, there's absolutely no detail whatsoever. We're going to have to fix that. I did unfortunately forget to airbrush the control stick, but that's okay. We're going to move on and let that dry for now. Now the engine is 4 pieces. That's it. I was thinking about potentially maybe putting in some wires, putting in some detail on it, but you know what? The cowling is so tight and so narrow, I don't think it really matters. I don't think you're really going to see it. So I'm actually not going to do that. I'm just going to put it together. I'm going to paint it over with some flat black. Then I'm going to dry brush it with some silver to give it kind of an iron look. I did that on my Albatross and on my Newport, and I liked how that both turned out, so we're going to try it again. So the engine detail itself is not too shabby, guys. It's actually pretty nice for something you'd get out of box, just out of the kit. Now, is it 100% accurate? Probably not, but that's okay. We're just going to airbrush it, fix it up, dry brush it, and just stick it in the cowling, and you're not going to see anything of that entire section. Now, I will caution you, though, there are actually a couple of different pieces here for the engine that you can actually interchange to make different versions. So make sure to get the right one. Let's go ahead and clean up this front wiring harness here. Make sure that everything is nice and clean. I don't want to cut too deep though. I might cut off one of these pipes here. I don't want to do that. So now we have this all ready to go. Let's go ahead and assemble it and make sure the engine looks decent. There are small locating tabs inside the banks of engines themselves. So we're just going to go ahead and position this, make sure it's turned in the proper direction. Each of these pipes actually go up to the tops of each of the cylinder heads on both sides, the right and left side. So I'll make sure to line those up, and I think we're looking pretty decent. A little bit of glue here. I've glued in the back firewall as well, and I think we'll be ready to go ahead and paint. As I mentioned before, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I did on my Newport. I'm going to shoot the entire thing with a black color, and then I'm going to come back, I'm going to dry brush it, really make that detail pop, and hopefully it'll tone down the black and it'll kind of balance out. Then I think a little bit of powder work, and I think we should be good to go. So let's go ahead and load up our Grex with some of this black here by Tamiya, and let's airbrush the engine, see how we do. Alright, so the cockpit is looking pretty decent. We've dry brushed, we've airbrushed, we have everything kind of drying off to the side. So what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and make some seat belts for my seat. Now I've looked through my reference material, and every single model in that book has seat belts. Some of them are lap belts, some of them are lap belts plus an over-the-shoulder belt. This is an early A6M2, so I'm pretty sure it just has the lap belt. Now we're going to use our same tried and true method as we've been doing before. We did on the Ventura, we're going to do it here, where we're just going to take some fine wire, we're going to bend it down to the shape of a buckle, a loose shape of a buckle, and then we're going to cut off the excess, and we're going to get some Tamiya tape and just feed it on through. The one difficult thing about this belt, though, is this actually not a typical belt that you would see in like an American aircraft. This actually looks like a belt you would wear around your waist. It's got a basic buckle in front with a large pin that fits through the other leather strap and then tucks back into the belt itself. I'm going to have to try and recreate that the best I can. So we're going to take a little bit of a fine wire and make addition to that belt, and then we're going to add on a few extra parts and pieces here to it to give it that cool tapered look as if it was an actual belt. So our seat belts are all positioned nicely, and I have our little addition here, the tapered front end for the other side of the belt. We're just going to stick this down on top of the other side of the lap belt, and that should give us kind of a tapered pointed look, almost like an actual belt you'd wear around your waist. At least that's my plan. Once it's stuck down, I'm going to take a little bit of glue and we'll glue it together, And then I'll take a little bit of the red-brown color that I have, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint just the front part of that. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side of the belt, put a little bit of tape down and just paint that to give it that leather look. So we can see here we have that front area all stuck down. So let's take a little bit of that red-brown. I'm just going to paint up the very nose of this belt. Just a little bit here and there, make sure it's nice and covered. Yeah, something kind of like that. I have one more small piece of tape that I've kind of stuck down on top of my existing belt buckle side of the belt. And now we'll take a little bit of paint, just touch that up, make sure it looks all right. And we turn out with something that looks like this. It's not too shabby, it's not 100% accurate, but you know what, I think it looks fine. If anything, the belt buckle could have been a little bit smaller, but I'm going to call it here for today, guys. I've done a lot of work on the bench for today. We're going to go ahead and call it quits. Next episode, we're going to come on back, and I'm hoping to detail up that cockpit floor, add some pipes, add some extras, just get it looking really cool. So until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having luck with your builds. We'll see you back here next week for the All at Sea group build here on Ben Builds. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.